Welcome to the workshop about Her Circle Leadership's Women's Leadership Certification Program. And I'm so glad you're here because we're going to really be talking about all the things that this program does that supports women. So before we get started, I am going to tell you a little bit about myself so you just know who I am. And I am, number one, I'm a mom. I have 2 adult children. I'm a grandmother. I have 4 grandchildren. And like so many of us, that's at the top of the list, right? And that was a gradual development from my career. But my career was both being an entrepreneur and an executive. And around 20 years ago, I woke up one day and decided that my mission through the work of with my coach, because I always had a coach helping me grow my career and grow my business. Most women don't have that, but they do need it, or they need to go through some kind of a program, right? But at that point, I identified that my mission, my vision was to create more women leaders in the world and to figure out a way to do that. I had a public relations firm and I had a few big corporate clients. And one day it came to me how I could do it. And that was by creating a conference program for women entrepreneurs and executives that these very big companies wanted to reach as customers. So the first big thing that I did was create this program and ended up for 12 years doing over 85 conferences all around the country that helped train these women. They were one-day conferences, and that allowed me to learn. As I was listening to all these speakers and going all to my own workshops, I learned so much about leadership, about what women needed, what they didn't have, what was stopping them, and what could move them forward. That was my first step. Well, I was so enamored and stimulated by that, it made me decide I wanted to be grounds on the floor, and I became an executive coach. And I didn't want to travel so much, so I had my children growing up, right, like so many of you, and I became the executive coach, and I started training, coaching, and leading groups of CEOs and executives. I did that for 5 years, and then I realized that I wanted to make a bigger impression and do more. And that led me really to starting to write a book. I ended up writing 2 books, one about building trusted relationships. And that gave me an opportunity to do a TED Talk, which you can actually see if you go to the hercircleleadership.com website. And then that led me to finding out that I could do some research, and I got recruited to be on a senior researcher on a team of people creating a program called the Everest Project. And that let me interview over 35 women in the C-suite and their bosses, which were often the CEOs, and their peers. And I learned from them what their challenges were and what their strengths were, and from the CEOs, why those women got promoted. What did they do that moved them up? I took all that information together and started doing programs to support women. I did them at corporations. I did them where any place that I could convince them that women needed this kind of training. That led me to meeting the people at George Washington University and convincing them to allow me to do the first executive women's leadership program there 5 years ago. And now I've been doing that. We're going into our 10th cohort of one program and the 3rd cohort of a different program. Well, all this was great and I loved it, but I realized that I needed to make a bigger difference. And that's when I decided that I needed to create a program where I could share all the knowledge that I had been gaining over all these years, and the program that has been very effective at GW with other coaches or consultants or people that want to become coaches or want to help women in the workplace because they're in the workplace, or they might be in HR or DE&I or any of those areas. because all this knowledge has not really gotten out there. We know what the challenges are, but how do we help women get the solutions? So that's where I want to bring my slides on. And we'll start from here telling you about the program and also telling you some of the tips I'm going to give you that can help you just in general with whatever you are doing as a coach, as a mentor, in any role you're serving with women. Okay, here we go. So coaching women to become the powerful leaders hiding within them will not only transform each woman, but it will change the world. And we know this, right? Women are different. We bring a whole other aspect to leadership. So much more. You bring the full screen. There we go. Her future is unlimited. That is something that I believe deeply. This is a photo of the very first cohort I led for GW. And that's when we were able to do programs like this in person. And hopefully we'll go back to doing that again. But these women that you see in this picture are now out there doing different things. They are moving up. They're living their visions. Some of them have gone on to rise up in their organizations to much higher levels. Some of them have left their organizations because they felt the culture wasn't working for them, and they went to a culture where they could fully blossom as leaders. And others have gone on and written books and started programs. In fact, one of the women, Charlie Palumbo, who just was certified in the Her Circle Leadership Program, is now a coach. She left her organization, went to Amazon in a higher position, and now she's left that to lead a whole coaching program. And she's speaking in venues all over the place and growing her program. So what was the catalyst that made me start the Her Circle Leadership Program? It was about a year and a half ago when I saw that the World Economic Forum had predicted that it was going to take 132 years for gender equity. Now, 2 years before that, before the pandemic, the World Economic Forum had said it was only going to take 99 years. So it's getting worse. And I'm really kind of worried about what's going to happen. They're meeting, by the way, very, very soon, and we're going to have new numbers soon. And I'm concerned that that number is going to go even higher in terms of how long it's going to take for gender equity. So what you're going to learn today is, number one, insights that you can actually use right now with employees, with clients, with women in your organization. You're going to learn what makes this program unique, and you're going to learn how to transform your clients, your mentees, how you can really put them on the road to growing and developing as leaders and moving to achieve what they want to achieve. And by the way, this program is going to transform you as well and your success, because you will start applying the things you're learning to share in your own life, including your vision, which is the primary thing that we address early on in the program. So before we go deep, I just want to show this very short video of our former and first Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright.
Okay. Other women are the ones that made me feel inadequate. Literally saying things like, wouldn't it be better if you were in the carpool line than instead of the library? And that my hollandaise sauce was not as good as theirs. And so that's where the statement that I got well known for came from. There's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other. It had not occurred to me, frankly, that I would ever be in a position to break a glass ceiling, particularly a woman who's married and the mother of twins. But the turning point did come.
Congratulations, Madam Secretary.
I have often been the only woman in the room, and I thought to myself, well, I don't think I'll say anything today because it'll sound stupid. And then some man says it, and everybody thinks it's brilliant. And you think, why didn't I talk? If we are in a meeting, we're there for a reason. The bottom line is if you are only there not speaking, you kind of create the impression that you're not prepared to be there. There's plenty of room in the world for mediocre men. There is no room for mediocre women. I love being a woman. Our life comes in segments, and it allows us to have different parts of our life. My youngest grandchild is a little girl. She said, so what's the big deal about Grandma Maddie being Secretary of State? Only girls are Secretary of State. She had seen Condoleezza Rice and Hillary Clinton. I am now so glad that it is a given that women can run for office. What is wonderful is to have a lot of sisters and that we're in this together.
All right, so Madeleine Albright. Well, things have certainly gotten better since that time, but so many things have not changed. And I think you could identify the only woman in the room. That happens to so many women, or one other woman in the room, right? And not knowing how to get a word in, either holding back or being interrupted. Those are all the kinds of things that we deal with in this program. All right, go back to the slides. So it's different now in some ways, right? Because we now have some more role models for us. People like Kamala Harris, our vice president now. Well, I love thinking back to what she did during the debate that she was in with Vice President Pence when he interrupted her. And she said to him, "Excuse me, Vice President Pence, I am not finished speaking." She was using a tool that we all need to learn how to do that, because we are interrupted so much. But she is someone who is at the highest level of leadership, and she has learned those things, but most of us have not. And what about Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, an extraordinary woman, highly educated, brilliant, an amazing career. And if you watched her during the confirmation hearings, you saw the way she was interrupted, aggressively spoken to, just disrespected in a way that no one should be talked to. But yet she kept her calm. She kept her calm. She did not let it get to her, and she continued on getting her message across, getting that through. These are skills that only women at the highest levels generally have, and we need to bring those skills to all women. So here's the facts. These are the statistics that why we need more women in leadership, right? Women are underrepresented in the C-suite and senior leadership teams. Women 5 to 6% of CEOs, and only about 19% of the leadership teams. Now, the research, there is so much research that continues to say that organizations with equality of women in senior positions are more profitable, more socially responsible, more innovative, and they give their employees better experiences. They have better retention. And yet, the latest research that McKinsey just did, which they call the Great Breakup, which followed the Great Resignation, that we recently are losing women at continuing higher rate, over 10% at senior levels. This is not a good thing. It's not a good thing for women. It's not a good thing for employees, and it's not a good thing for organizations. And it takes an average of 42 days to fill an open position. And it costs almost $5,000 to replace someone. So the cost is enormous, both to women and families as well as to the organizations when they are not retaining women. So what are some of women's challenges? You know some of these. You experience some of these. Women are not welcome in closed networks. There are power patterns that take place in organizations. This remote/hybrid work, how do we become leaders in that situation? And how do we get companies to not make us all go back when we were working very effectively remotely? The patriarchal culture, which ebbs and flowed, but from what I'm reading, it's coming back again. Learning to speak up strategically on your own behalf and on the behalf of others, including other women. Another challenge, just the recognition to move up. Building relationships with decision makers, that is a huge one. Gender and racial bias, another big challenge. Perfectionism, which holds so many women back. Confidence, yes. Helping them gain that confidence. And then the self-limiting beliefs that often started when we were little girls, where we were taught to behave a certain way, and it worked very, very well throughout school, through college. And then we get to the professional world, and those polite behaviors, waiting our turn, being modest, all the things that were very good for us then do not work anymore. So how do we get there? And on this program, the Her Circle program, is shaped under these 7 tenets: vision, mindset, communication, relationship building, presence, executive presence, confidence, and courage. So let's quickly just look at those and what we learn in those. Vision. Well, as Abraham Lincoln said, the best way to predict the future is to create it ourselves. We have to take our future in our own hands. We cannot wait to be tapped by other people. Men don't do that, and neither should women. We can create a future for ourselves, and we start with that vision. And in the program, we teach women, both our people in the program learn this for themselves, as well as be able to take it to other women in the groups that they lead, in the women that they work with. How to have a vision and put that vision into action is number 1. Communication skills. That is at the heart of it all, because if we're not communicating in a way that people hear us or will listen to us, then we're not being effective. The way we communicate, both in words and in writing, in emails. And there is a certain way that we learn to communicate, which is a friendly way, which is not always the direct way that leaders hear us. So learning that is an important part, and being able to teach it to other women. Presence, executive presence. How do we help women look like leaders and feel like leaders? There are books and books on this, and we share all the research and we practice it in the program, so that in the program you learn to have it and you learn to bring it to women as well. And that goes for not just in person, but how you have presence online. Now that virtual and remote is an important part of everything we do. Relationship building. You know, nobody teaches us how to have trusted relationships in school or college. Yeah, we have friends, but how about having relationships with the movers and shakers, the influencers? How do we have a conversation that builds that relationship? Because we need to have that. And that's actually the basis of my book, Link Out, is how do you really build relationships that people want to help you and support you, and while you're supporting them as well. Mindset, particularly a growth mindset, and really seeing and showing women how even mistakes and failures are a way to grow. And as a leader, allowing people to make mistakes. So we learn it in both directions. We share with you how you teach the women who are both managers and leaders how to have that growth mindset, not only for themselves, but for the people that they are leading. Courage. It takes courage to learn all these things. It takes courage to practice all these things. But we share how we help build courage within women and how it fits in, and little by little becoming more and more courageous to try new things, to raise your hand, to apply for that job that you feel you're not qualified for and find out you get it. All these things are part of teaching women and applying to ourselves. And confidence. Confidence is the expectation of a positive outcome and knowing that you have what it takes. And quite frankly, that comes when you have established all the learning for the other 6 tenets. Confidence just comes. And I have seen that with all the women that I have trained. The hundreds of women leave programs like these with confidence. And we can show other women how to have that confidence. So the Her Circle Leadership Coaching Program gives you a certification that you can use, you can apply, and you can share with others so that you can begin to more formally coach women and even coach men, because we even have a courageous conversations between men and women so that we can try to get men to open up their minds and be more welcoming and sponsor more women to move up. So I promised in the email that I sent that I would share some of the ways to attract clients and connect with your people. And that one of those is that I have used very powerfully in my own coaching practice, and that is really using discovery questions. And those discovery questions are the following. If you could have everything you want in a job in the next 6 months, what would that look and feel like? What would achieving that do for you? How important is that for you? And really listening when your client or potential client gives you that answer. This allows them to really get to the place where they see how coaching or training can make a difference in their life. Continuing with questioning, asking, what is stopping you from having this right now? And then lastly, if you could overcome this, what would it do for you? And when people come in touch with the realization that their life could change for the better, they know they need to be coached, or they know they need to be in a training program. So when women participate in this program, you will take away things like understanding why you're being overlooked for promotions. Why did he get that job? You'll be helping women understand why they might have too much work on their plate, why they feel disrespected, and what they can do about it. Why are they feeling burnt out? And you'll be able to help them with that. Why they get interrupted at meetings, or why their ideas get hijacked or even ignored. And you'll be able to help them address those things. And lastly, be able to help your team members. They'll be able to help their team members. You'll be able to help your team members so that they can address these various issues. If you are a coach or a consultant, here's why it makes sense for you to get certified in women's leadership, because you'll be able to distinguish yourself as a women's leadership coach or trainer. You'll be able to build your business by attracting and retaining more women and corporate clients. You'll have at your fingertips the content and expertise to speak on this subject with confidence. And you'll be advancing women's careers and supporting them to grow their businesses. You'll have at your fingertips powerful questions and exercises propelling women to achieve their vision and goals, because we share all that with you. And you will be getting referrals from clients by growing your network and the Her Circle referral network, which we include you in. Now, if you are an HR or DEI professional or a trainer or a manager, here's why you should get certified. Because you will add credentials, qualifications, and expertise to your job and your resume. You'll become an expert in a very critical area of DE&I. You'll be recognized for retaining and attracting women to your organization, and you can become a premier presenter within your company and to outside organizations. You'll achieve your career goals with credentials and knowledge. Meet the Her Circle Leadership Certified Coaches. This group, which included one man, and why not have men be a certified coach as well? They are all certified. And now they have not only created an amazing network where they are supporting each other, they're meeting together monthly to help each other, to make introductions, to share the problems that they have and the problems that they are learning from their women. And I am meeting with them to keep them going on their journey so that they can really make a huge difference, both in their professions and in the world. The 6-week program for this cohort begins January 31st. And this is an outline of every single week. This is up on the Her Circle Leadership website, so you can see it right there. And know that it is only 4 hours per week that you need to commit to this program. A 2-hour period of content and live discussions among your group on one day, and on a separate day, a 2-hour practice coaching session. And that can be done together, and we find that the coaches like to practice on their own as well. Then you'll also have a private library of articles, podcasts, videos, and books. And every week we add to that so that you can read it before the session or after the session and add to it. And as I mentioned, we have a post program where we have coaching circles for the certified Her Circle leadership coaches. So this is a program that trains you, that is experiential, it's interactive, and really prepares you for being out there and supporting women fully. So when you've completed it, After those 6 weeks, you're certified. You will have a certificate that you can display. You can put up on your website. You can put it on your LinkedIn profile. You'll be featured, your photo and bio, on the Her Circle Leadership website. You become a member of that network. And we would love to feature your blogs, podcasts, anything you do gets featured on our newsletter, which goes out monthly to a huge list of women executives and entrepreneurs. And we continually have more and more learning opportunities for the coaches that are certified. So 2023 can be your year to really make a difference for women and to make a difference in your own life, for creating your own future that impacts women in a positive way. The program begins January 31st. The application is at Her Circle Leadership /register, or feel free to email me to schedule a conversation at leslie@hercircleleadership.com. Thank you so much for being here today. I welcome you. We need to change the world together, and I hope you will join me. For women and for men, for children, for the world.